Poland is a country in Central Europe. It extends from Baltic Sea in the north to Sudetes and Carpathian Mountains in the south. Bordered by Lithuania and Russia to the northeast, Belarus and Ukraine to the east, Slovakia and Czech Republic to the south and Germany to the west. The territory is characterized by varied landscape, diverse ecosystems, and temperate transitional climate. Poland is composed of 16 voivodeships and is the fifth most populous member state of the European Union with over 38 million people, and fifth largest EU country by land area, covering combined area of 312,696 kilometers square. The capital and largest city is Warsaw. Other major cities include Krakow, Wroclaw, Lodz, Poznań, Gdansk, and Szczecin. Prehistoric human activity on Polish soil dates to the Lower Paleolithic, with continuous settlement since the end of last glacial period. Culturally diverse throughout late antiquity. In the early medieval period, the region became inhabited by West Slavic tribal Polans who gave Poland its name. The process of establishing statehood coincided with the conversion of pagan ruler of the Polans to Christianity under the auspices of Roman Catholic Church in 966. Kingdom of Poland emerged in 1025 and in 1569 cemented its long-standing association with Lithuania, thus forming the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. At the time, the Commonwealth was one of the great powers of Europe with an elective monarchy and uniquely liberal political system which adopted Europe's first modern constitution in 1791. With the passing of the prosperous Polish Golden Age, the country was partitioned by neighboring states at the end of 18th century. Poland regained its independence at the end of World War I in 191 with creation of the Second Polish Republic, which emerged victorious in various conflicts of the interbellum period. In September 1939, the invasion of Poland by Germany and Soviet Union marked the beginning of World War II, which resulted in the Holocaust and millions of Polish casualties. Forced into the Eastern Bloc in the global Cold War, Polish People's Republic was a founding signatory of the Warsaw Pact. Through the emergence and contributions of the Solidarity movement, the communist government was dissolved and Poland re-established as a democratic state in 1989, as the first of its neighbors. Poland is a semi-presidential republic with its bicameral legislature comprising Sejm and Senate. Considered a middle power, it is a developed market and high-income economy that is sixth largest in the EU by nominal GDP and fifth largest by PPP-adjusted GDP. Poland enjoys high standard of living, safety and economic freedom as well as free university education and universal health care. The country has 17 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, 15 of which are cultural. Poland is a founding member state of the United Nations and member of the World Trade Organization, OECD, NATO and European Union, including the Schengen area. The country has a coastline spanning 770 kilometers, extending from the shores of Baltic Sea along Bay of Pomerania in the west to Gulf of Gdansk in the east. The beach coastline is abundant in sand dune fields or coastal ridges and indented by spits and lagoons, notably the Hel Peninsula and Vistula Lagoon, which is shared with Russia. The largest Polish island on Baltic Sea is Lublin, located within Lublin National Park. Poland also shares the Szczecin Lagoon and Ustąg Island with Germany. The mountainous belt in the extreme south of Poland is divided into two major mountain ranges, Sudetes in the west and Carpathians in the east. The highest part of Carpathian Massif are Tatra Mountains extending along Poland's southern border. Poland's highest point is Mount Rysy at 2,501 meters in elevation, located in Tatras. The highest summit of Sudetes Massif is Mount Śnieżka at 1,603.3 meters, shared with Czech Republic. The lowest point in Poland is situated at Rachki Elbląskie in the Vistula Delta, which is 1.8 meters below sea level. Poland's longest rivers are Vistula, Oder, Water and Bug. The country also possesses one of the highest densities of lakes in the world, numbering around 10,000 and mostly concentrated in the northeastern region of Masuria, within Masurian Lake District. The largest lakes covering more than 100 square kilometers are Śniadły and Mamry. Deepest is Lake Hancza at 108.5 meters in depth. The climate of Poland is temperate transitional and varies from oceanic in the northwest to continental in the southeast. The mountainous southern fringes are situated within alpine climate. Poland is characterized by warm summers with temperature around 20 degrees Celsius in July, and moderately cold winters averaging -1 degree Celsius in December. The warmest and sunniest part of Poland is Lower Silesia in the southwest, and coldest region is the northeast corner, around Suwałki in Podlaski province, where the climate is affected by cold fronts from Scandinavia and Siberia. Precipitation is more frequent during summer months, with highest rainfall recorded from June to September. There is considerable fluctuation in day-to-day weather, and arrival of a particular season can differ each year. The average annual air temperature between 2011 and 2020 was 9.33 degrees Celsius, around 1.11 degrees Celsius higher than in 2001 to 2010. Winters are also becoming increasingly drier with less sleet and snowfall. Phytogeographically, Poland belongs to the Central European province of Circumboreal region within Boreal Kingdom. The country has 4 Palearctic ecoregions: Central, Northern, Western European temperate broadleaf and mixed forest, and Carpathian montane conifer. Forests occupy 31% of Poland's land area, the largest of which is Lower Silesian wilderness. The most common deciduous trees found across the country are oak, maple, and beech. Most common conifers are pine, spruce, and fir. An estimated 69% of all forests are coniferous. Flora and fauna in Poland is that of continental Europe, with pheasant, white stork, and white-tailed eagle designated as national animals, and red common poppy being the unofficial floral emblem. Among the most protected species is European bison, Europe's heaviest land animal, as well as Eurasian beaver, lynx, grey wolf, and Tatra chamois. The region was home to the extinct aurochs, the last individual dying in Poland in 1627. Game animals such as red deer, roe deer, and wild boar are found in most woodlands. Poland is a significant breeding ground for migratory birds and hosts around 1/4 of the global population of white storks. In 2020, total value of tourism industry in Poland was 104.3 billion PLN, equivalent to 4.5% of Polish GDP. Tourism contributes considerably to the overall economy and makes up relatively large proportion of the country's service market. Nearly 200,000 people were employed in the accommodation and catering, hospitality, sector in 2020. In 2021, Poland ranked 12th most visited country in the world by international arrivals. Tourist attractions in Poland vary from mountains in the south to beaches in the north, with trail of rich architectural and cultural heritage. Among the most recognizable landmarks are old towns in Krakow, Warsaw, Wroclaw, dwarf statues, Gdansk, Poznań, Lublin, Toruń, and Zamość, as well as museums, zoological gardens, theme parks, and Wieliczka salt mine with its labyrinthine tunnels, underground lake, and chapels carved by miners out of rock salt beneath the ground. There are over 100 castles in the country, largely within Lower Silesian Voivodeship and also on the Trail of the Eagle's Nests. The largest castle in the world by land area is situated in Malbork. German Auschwitz concentration camp in Oswiecim and Skull Chapel in Kudowa-Zdrój constitute dark tourism. Regarding nature-based travel, notable sites include Mazurian Lake District and Bialowieza Forest in the east, on the South Karkonosh, Table Mountains, and Tatra Mountains, where Rysy and Eagle's Path Trail are located. Pieniony and Bieszczady Mountains lie in the extreme southeast. Transport in Poland is provided by means of rail, road, marine shipping, and air travel. The country is part of EU's Schengen area and an important transport hub due to its strategic geographical position in Central Europe. Some of the longest European routes, including E30 and E40, run through Poland. The country has good network of highways consisting of express roads and motorways. As of August 2023, Poland has the world's 21st largest road network, maintaining over 5,000 kilometers of highways in use. In 2022, the nation had 19,393 kilometers of railway track, the third longest in the European Union after Germany and France. The Polish State Railways is the dominant railway operator, with certain major voivodeships or urban areas possessing their own commuter and regional rail. Poland has a number of international airports, the largest of which is Warsaw Chopin Airport. It is the primary global hub for LOT Polish Airlines, the country's flag carrier. Seaports exist all along Poland's Baltic coast, with most freight operations using Świnoujście, Police, Szczecin, Kołobrzeg, Gdynia, Gdansk and Elbląg as their base. Port of Gdansk is the only port in Baltic Sea adapted to receive oceanic vessels. Paul Ferries and Unity Line are the largest Polish ferry operators, with the latter providing roll-on or roll-off and train ferry services to Scandinavia. Poland has a population of approximately 38.2 million as of 2021 and is the 9th most populous country in Europe, as well as 5th most populous member state of European Union. It has a population density of 122 inhabitants per square kilometre. There are 13 government-approved annual public holidays. New Year on the 1st of January, Three Kings Day on the 6th of January, Easter Sunday and Easter Monday, Labour Day on the 1st of May, Constitution Day on the 3rd of May, Pentecost, Corpus Christi, Feast of the Assumption on the 15th of August, All Saints' Day on the 1st of November, Independence Day on the 11th of November and Christmas Tide on the 25th and the 26th of December. Particular traditions and superstitious customs observed in Poland are not found elsewhere in Europe. Though Christmas Eve, Wigilia, is not a public holiday, it remains the most memorable day of the entire year. Trees are decorated on the 24th of December, hay is placed under the tablecloth to resemble Jesus' manger, Christmas wafers, opłatek, are shared between gathered guests, and a 12-dish meatless supper is served that same evening when the first star appears. An empty plate and seat are symbolically left at the table for an unexpected guest. On occasion, careless journey around smaller towns with a folk Turin creature until the Lent period. A widely popular donut and sweet pastry feast occurs on Fat Thursday, usually 52 days prior to Easter. Eggs for Holy Sunday are painted and placed in decorated baskets that are previously blessed by clergymen in churches on Easter Saturday. Easter Monday is celebrated with pagan dingus festivities where the youth is engaged in water fights. Cemeteries and graves of the deceased are annually visited by family members on All Saints' Day. Tombstones are cleaned as a sign of respect and candles are lit to honor the dead on an unprecedented scale. Architecture of Poland reflects European architectural styles with strong historical influences derived from Italy, Germany, and the Low Countries. Settlements founded on Magdeburg law evolved around central marketplaces, Plac, Rynek, encircled by a grid or concentric network of streets forming an old town, Stare Miasto. Poland's traditional landscape is characterized by ornate churches, city tenements, and town halls. Cloth hall markets, sukiennice, were once an abundant feature of Polish urban architecture. The mountainous south is known for its Zakopane chalet style, which originated in Poland. Earliest architectonic trend was Romanesque, 11th century, but its traces in the form of circular rotundas are scarce. The arrival of brick Gothic, 13th century, defined Poland's most distinguishable medieval style exuded by castles of Malbork, Lidzbark, New and Cuisine, as well as the cathedrals of Gniezno, Gdansk, Wroclaw, from Bork and Krakow. The Renaissance 16th century gave rise to Italianate courtyards, defensive palazzas, and mausoleums. Decorative attics with pinnacles and arcade loggias are elements of Polish mannerism, found in Poznań, Lublin, and Zamość. Foreign artisans often came at the expense of kings or nobles, whose palaces were built thereafter in the Baroque, Neoclassical and Revivalist styles, 17th to 19th century. Primary building materials timber and red brick were used extensively in Polish folk architecture, and the concept of a fortified church was commonplace. Secular structures such as dworek manor houses, farmsteads, granaries, mills, and country inns are still present in some regions or in open-air museums, skansen. However, traditional construction methods faded in the early mid-20th century due to urbanization and the construction of functionalist housing estates and residential areas. Cuisine of Poland is eclectic and shares similarities with other regional cuisines. Among the staple or regional dishes are pierogi, filled dumplings, kielbasa, sausage, bigos, hunter's stew, kotlet schabowy, breaded cutlet, galabki, cabbage rolls, basks, borscht, zurek, soured rye soup, osipek, smoked cheese, and tomato soup. Bagels, a type of bread roll, also originated in Poland. Traditional dishes are hearty and abundant in pork, potatoes, eggs, cream, mushrooms, regional herbs, and sauce. Polish food is characteristic for its various kinds of kluski, soft dumplings, soups, cereals, and a variety of breads and open sandwiches. Salads, including mizeria, cucumber salad, coleslaw, sauerkraut, carrot, and seared beets, are common. Meals conclude with a dessert such as sernik, cheesecake, makowick, poppy seed roll, or napoleonka, millefeuille, cream pie. Traditional alcoholic beverages include honey mead, widespread since the 13th century, beer, wine, and vodka. The world's first written mention of vodka originates from Poland. The most popular alcoholic drinks at present are beer and wine, which took over from vodka, more popular in the years 1980 to 1998. Grodziski, sometimes referred to as Polish champagne, is an example of a historical beer style from Poland. Tea remains common in Polish society since the 19th century, whilst coffee is drunk widely since the 18th century. Several Polish designers and stylists left a legacy of beauty inventions and cosmetics, including Helena Rubinstein and Maximilian Faktorowicz, who created a line of cosmetics company in California known as Max Factor and formulated the term makeup, which is now widely used as an alternative for describing cosmetics. Faktorowicz is also credited with inventing modern eyelash extensions. As of 2020, Poland possesses the sixth largest cosmetic market in Europe. Inglot Cosmetics is the country's largest beauty products manufacturer, and the retail store Reserved is the country's most successful clothing store chain. Historically, fashion has been an important aspect of Poland's national consciousness or cultural manifestation, and the country developed its own style known as Sarmatism at the turn of the 17th century. The national dress and etiquette of Poland also reached the court at Versailles, where French dresses inspired by Polish garments included robe à la polonaise and the witzura. The scope of influence also entailed furniture. Rococo Polish beds with canopies became fashionable in French chateaux. Sarmatism eventually faded in the wake of the 18th century. The first Stone Age archaic humans and Homo erectus species settled what was to become Poland approximately 500,000 years ago, though the ensuing hostile climate prevented early humans from founding more permanent encampments. The arrival of Homo sapiens and anatomically modern humans coincided with the climatic discontinuity at the end of the last glacial period, Northern Polish glaciation 10,000 BC, when Poland became habitable. Neolithic excavations indicated broad-ranging development in that era. The earliest evidence of European cheesemaking, 5500 BC, was discovered in Polish Kujawia, and the Bronisis pot is incised with the earliest known depiction of what may be a wheeled vehicle, 3400 BC. The period spanning the Bronze Age and the early Iron Age, 1300 BC to 500 BC, was marked by an increase in population density, establishment of palisaded settlements, gords, and the expansion of Lusatian culture. A significant archaeological find from the proto-history of Poland is a fortified settlement at Biskupin, attributed to the Lusatian culture of the Late Bronze Age, mid-8th century BC. Throughout antiquity, 400 BC to 500 AD, many distinct ancient populations inhabited the territory of present-day Poland, notably Celtic, Scythian, Germanic, Sarmatian, Baltic, and Slavic tribes. Furthermore, archaeological findings confirmed the presence of Roman legions sent to protect the amber trade. The Polish tribes emerged following the second wave of the migration period around the 6th century AD. They were Slavic and may have included assimilated remnants of peoples that earlier dwelled in the area. Beginning in the early 10th century, the Polans would come to dominate other Lakitic tribes in the region, initially forming a tribal federation and later a centralized monarchical state. Poland began to form into a recognizable unitary and territorial entity around the middle of the 10th century under the Piast dynasty. In 966, the ruler of the Polands, Mieszko I, accepted Christianity under the auspices of the Roman Church with the baptism of Poland. In 968, a missionary bishopric was established in Potnan. An incipit titled De Gome Ilex first defined Poland's geographical boundaries with its capital in Gniezno and affirmed that its monarchy was under the protection of the Apostolic See. The country's early origins were described by Gallus Anonymous in Gesta Principum Polanorum, the oldest Polish chronicle. An important national event of the period was the martyrdom of Saint Adalbert, who was killed by Prussian pagans in 997 and whose remains were reputedly bought back for their weight in gold by Mieszko's successor, Boleslaw I the Brave. In 1000, at the Congress of Gniezno, Boleslaw obtained the right of investiture from Otto III, Holy Roman Emperor, who assented to the creation of additional bishoprics and an archdioceses in Gniezno. 3 new dioceses were subsequently established in Krakow, Kołobrzeg, and Wroclaw. Also, Otto bestowed upon Boleslaw royal regalia and a replica of the Holy Lance, which were later used at his coronation as the first king of Poland in c. 1025, when Boleslaw received permission for his coronation from Pope John XIX. Boleslaw also expanded the realm considerably by seizing parts of German Lusatia, Czech Moravia, Upper Hungary, and southwestern regions of the Kievan Rus. The transition from paganism in Poland was not instantaneous and resulted in the pagan reaction of the 1030s. In 1031, Mieszko II Lambert lost the title of king and fled amidst the violence. The unrest led to the transfer of the capital to Krakow in 1038 by Casimir I the Restorer. In 1076, Boleslaw II reinstituted the office of king, but was banished in 1079 for murdering his opponent, Bishop Stanislaus. In 1138, the country fragmented into 5 principalities when Boleslaw III Rymouth divided his lands among his sons, 26. These were Lesser Poland, Greater Poland, Silesia, Masovia, and Sandomierz, with intermittent hold over Pomerania. In 1226, Conrad I of Masovia invited the Teutonic Knights to aid in combating the Baltic Prussians, a decision that later led to centuries of warfare with the Knights. In the first half of the 13th century, Henry I the Bearded and Henry II the Pious aimed to unite the fragmented dukedoms, but the Mongol invasion and the death of Henry II in battle hindered the unification. As a result of the devastation which followed, depopulation and the demand for craft labor spurred a migration of German and Flemish settlers into Poland, which was encouraged by the Polish dukes. In 1264, the Statute of Kalisz introduced unprecedented autonomy for the Polish Jews, who came to Poland fleeing persecution elsewhere in Europe. In 1320, Władysław I the Short became the first king of a reunified Poland since Przemysl II in 1296 and the first to be crowned at Warel Cathedral in Krakow. Beginning in 1333, the reign of Casimir III the Great was marked by developments in castle infrastructure, army, judiciary, and diplomacy. Under his authority, Poland transformed into a major European power. He instituted Polish rule over Ruthenia in 1340 and imposed quarantine that prevented the spread of Black Death. In 1364, Casimir inaugurated the University of Krakow, one of the oldest institutions of higher learning in Europe. Upon his death in 1370, the Piast dynasty came to an end. He was succeeded by his closest male relative, Louis of Anjou, who ruled Poland, Hungary, and Croatia in a personal union. Louis' younger daughter Jadwiga became Poland's first female monarch in 1384. In 1386, Jadwiga of Poland entered a marriage of convenience with Władysław II Jagiello, the Grand Duke of Lithuania, thus forming the Jagiellonian dynasty and the Polish-Lithuanian Union, which spanned the late Middle Ages and early modern era. The partnership between Poles and Lithuanians brought the vast multi-ethnic Lithuanian territories into Poland's sphere of influence and proved beneficial for its inhabitants, who coexisted in one of the largest European political entities of the time. In the aftermath of World War I, the Allies agreed on reconstitution of Poland, confirmed through Treaty of Versailles of June 1919. 2 million Polish troops fought with the armies of the 3 occupying powers and 450,000 died. Following the armistice with Germany in November 1918, Poland regained its independence as Second Polish Republic. The Second Polish Republic reaffirmed its sovereignty after a series of military conflicts, most notably Polish-Soviet War when Poland inflicted crushing defeat on Red Army at Battle of Warsaw. The interwar period heralded a new era of Polish politics. Whilst Polish political activists faced heavy censorship in the decades up until World War I, a new political tradition was established in the country. Many exiled Polish activists such as Ignacy Jan Podolski, who later became Prime Minister, returned home. A significant number of them went on to take key positions in the newly formed political and governmental structures. Tragedy struck in 1922 when Gabriel Narutowicz, inaugural holder of the presidency, was assassinated at Zakieta Gallery in Warsaw by a painter and right-wing nationalist Eligius Niewiadomski. In 1926, May coup led by the hero of Polish independence campaign Marshal Józef Pilsudski turned rule of the Second Polish Republic over to non-partisan Sanakja, healing, movement to prevent radical political organizations on both the left and the right from destabilizing the country. By late 1930s, due to increased threats posed by political extremism inside the country, Polish government became increasingly heavy-handed, banning a number of radical organizations including communist and ultranationalist political parties which threatened stability of the country. World War II began with Nazi German invasion of Poland on the 1st of September, 1939, followed by Soviet invasion of Poland on the 17th of September. On the 28th of September, 1939, Warsaw fell. As agreed in Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, Poland split into two zones, one occupied by Nazi Germany, the other by Soviet Union. In 1939 to 1941, Soviets deported hundreds of thousands of Poles. Soviet NKVD executed thousands of Polish prisoners of war, among other incidents in Katyn massacre, ahead of Operation Barbarossa. German planners had in November 1939 called for the complete destruction of all Poles and their fate as outlined in the genocidal General Plan Ost. Poland made fourth largest troop contribution in Europe, and its troops served both Polish government in exile in the West and Soviet leadership in the East. Polish troops played an important role in Normandy, Italian, North African campaigns and Netherlands, and particularly remembered for Battle of Britain and Battle of Monte Cassino. Polish intelligence operatives proved extremely valuable to the Allies, providing much of the intelligence from Europe and beyond. Polish code breakers were responsible for cracking the Enigma cipher, and Polish scientists participating in the Manhattan Project were co-creators of the American atomic bomb. In the East, the Soviet-backed Polish First Army distinguished itself in the battles for Warsaw and Berlin. The wartime resistance movement, and the Armia Krajowa, Home Army, fought against German occupation. It was one of the three largest resistance movements of the entire war, and encompassed a range of clandestine activities, which functioned as an underground state complete with degree-awarding universities and a court system. The resistance was loyal to the exiled government and generally resented the idea of a communist Poland. For this reason, in the summer of 1944 it initiated Operation Tempest, of which the Warsaw Uprising that began on the 1st of August, 1944 is the best-known operation. Poland made the fourth largest troop contribution in Europe, and its troops served both the Polish government in exile in the West and Soviet leadership in the East. Polish troops played an important role in the Normandy, Italian, North African campaigns and Netherlands, and are particularly remembered for the Battle of Britain and Battle of Monte Cassino. Polish intelligence operatives proved extremely valuable to the Allies, providing much of the intelligence from Europe and beyond. Polish code breakers were responsible for cracking the Enigma cipher, and Polish scientists participating in the Manhattan Project were co-creators of the American atomic bomb. In the East, the Soviet-backed Polish First Army distinguished itself in the battles for Warsaw and Berlin. The wartime resistance movement, and the Armia Krajowa, Home Army, fought against German occupation. It was one of the three largest resistance movements of the entire war, and encompassed a range of clandestine activities, which functioned as an underground state complete with degree-awarding universities and a court system. The resistance was loyal to the exiled government and generally resented the idea of a communist Poland. For this reason, in the summer of 1944 it initiated Operation Tempest, of which the Warsaw Uprising that began on the 1st of August, 1944 is the best-known operation. At the insistence of Joseph Stalin, Yalta Conference sanctioned the formation of a new provisional pro-communist coalition government in Moscow which ignored Polish government in exile based in London. This action angered many Poles who considered it betrayal by the Allies. In 1944, Stalin made guarantees to Churchill and Roosevelt that he maintained Poland's sovereignty and allowed democratic elections to take place. However, upon achieving victory in 1945, the elections organized by the occupying Soviet authorities were falsified and used to provide a veneer of legitimacy for Soviet hegemony over Polish affairs. Soviet Union instituted a new communist government in Poland, analogous to much of the rest of Eastern Bloc. As elsewhere in communist Europe, Soviet influence over Poland met with armed resistance from the outset, which continued into the 1950s. Despite widespread objections, the new Polish government accepted Soviet annexation of the pre-war eastern regions of Poland, in particular the cities of Wilno and Lwow, and agreed to the permanent garrisoning of Red Army units on Poland's territory. Military alignment within Warsaw Pact throughout Cold War came about as direct result of this change in Poland's political culture. In European scene, it came to characterize the full-fledged integration of Poland into brotherhood of communist nations. The new communist government took control with adoption of small constitution on the 19th of February, 1947. Polish People's Republic officially proclaimed in 1952. In 1956, after death of Bolesław Bierut, the regime of Władysław Gomułka became temporarily more liberal, freeing many people from prison and expanding some personal freedoms. Collectivization in the Polish People's Republic failed. A similar situation repeated itself in the 1970s under Edward Gierek, but most of the time persecution of anti-communist opposition groups persisted. Despite this, Poland was at the time considered one of the least oppressive states of Eastern Bloc. Labor turmoil in 1980 led to the formation of independent trade union, which over time became a political force. Despite persecution and imposition of martial law in 1981 by General Wojciech Jaruzelski, it eroded the dominance of Polish United Workers' Party and by 1989 had triumphed in Poland's first partially free and democratic parliamentary elections since the end of Second World War. Lech Walesa, Solidarity candidate, eventually won presidency in 1990. The Solidarity movement heralded the collapse of communist regimes and parties across Europe. A shock therapy program, initiated by Leszek Balcerowicz in the early 1990s, enabled the country to transform its Soviet-style planned economy into a market economy. As with other post-communist countries, Poland suffered temporary declines in social, economic, and living standards, but it became the first post-communist country to reach its pre-1989 GDP levels as early as 1995, although the unemployment rate increased. Poland became a member of the Visegrad Group in 1991 and joined NATO in 1999. Poles then voted to join the European Union in a referendum in June 2003, with Poland becoming a full member on the 1st of May, 2004, following the consequent enlargement of the organization. Poland has joined the Schengen area in 2007, as a result of which, the country's borders with other member states of the European Union were dismantled, allowing for full freedom of movement within most of the European Union. On the 10th of April, 2010, the President of Poland Lech Kaczynski, along with 89 other high-ranking Polish officials, died in a plane crash near Smolensk, Russia. In 2011, the ruling Civic Platform won parliamentary elections. In 2014, the Prime Minister of Poland, Donald Tusk, was chosen to be President of the European Council and resigned as Prime Minister. The 2015 and 2019 elections were won by the National Conservative Law and Justice Party, PiS, led by Jarosław Kaczynski, resulting in increased Euroscepticism and increased friction with the European Union. In December 2017, Mateusz Morawiecki was sworn in as the Prime Minister, succeeding Beata Szydło, in office since 2015. President Andrzej Duda, supported by Law and Justice Party, was re-elected in the 2020 presidential election. As of November 2023, the Russian invasion of Ukraine had led to 17 million Ukrainian refugees crossing the border to Poland. As of November 2023, 0.9 million of those had stayed in Poland. In October 2023, the ruling Law and Justice, PiS, party won the largest share of the vote in the election, but lost its majority in parliament. In December 2023, Donald Tusk became the new Prime Minister, leading a coalition made up of Civic Coalition, Third Way, and the Left. Law and Justice became the leading opposition party.